As you already know, the federal Liberal government tabled its 2024 budget last week, and although it hasn't been voted on yet, I think we all know it's going to be passed. It's not going to be a surprise when it gets passed. As much as Jagmeet Singh and the NDP are playing hard to get, pretending they don't know if they're going to vote for the budget or not, they will vote for the budget. They can't afford not to vote for the budget. Both the Liberals and the NDP, as parties, are completely broke. Their polling is horrible. And really, Jagmeet Singh and Justin Trudeau don't really disagree on that much, other than Jagmeet Singh is just simply another step to the left of Justin Trudeau. So they're going to vote for it. They have to vote for it. But what was kind of surprising for me in this budget is when you look at the Canadian public's reaction, because a budget in Canadian politics is supposed to be a very, very crowd-pleasing item to pass in a year. Everyone tends to agree what's in the budget. Even if you're a liberal, you tend to agree with conservative budgets. Conservatives tend to agree with liberal budgets. And because most people aren't that partisan, so when you present them with a lot of good-sounding things that money is being spent on, they're just going to say, well, that sounds pretty good. But look at this. This is the Angus Reid poll where they polled like 3,000 people on what they thought of the budget. You go to the top line stuff that has more support, but still only 74% of people agree with spending more money on disability benefits, increased disability benefits. And 74% is very high, but there's 26% of people just saying stop spending money. In a normal year, that would be like 90% of people saying, yes, spend money on disability benefits. Here, funding free contraceptives and some diabetes medication for all. Only 70% of people in favor of that. Because again, the questions are kind of asked in a bit of a skewed way. I don't think it's because the pollster's biased, but they're basically just saying, are you in favor of spending on this? They're not saying, are you in favor of inflation and taxes going up to spend on this? If you ask that, the polling numbers would be way lower. But the fact that this many Canadians are still saying no to all this good sounding stuff, I don't think it's actually good, because under the surface, the private sector would do a way better job delivering this stuff. And I know it's going to cause more inflation, taxes, and whatnot. But the average Canadian's not thinking that deeply about it. So this one. Funding infrastructure for new housing developments. Only 65% of people in favor. $9 billion in new funding over 5 years for Indigenous health, housing, education, income assistance. Only 54% of people in favor of it. More defense spending. Only 51. Cutting this one's a little bit of a obtuse one where technically in the budget they're cutting 5,000 people in the public service, but they're obviously going to employ way more people than that. So it's kind of a weird category. It doesn't really matter for us to talk about it. And then it says, focusing on generational fairness to help younger Canadians. Only 51% of people in favor of that. And yes, you can say 51% of people are in favor of that, or 74% of people are in favor of this item or that item. Again, guys, budgets are made so that 90% of people will be in favor of them, right? Because the thing is that the questions are just saying, are you in favor of more disability spending? And, caught in the middle of your day on the phone with a pollster, you're just going to say, yeah, sure. The fact that people are thinking about it, thinking this is Justin Trudeau's budget, no, you have enough money already. Figure out how to do it without increasing spending. That is what is actually being shown in these polls. Because when you look at these other polls that Angus Reid did more on general questions about the budget, this question says, based on what you've seen, read or heard, does this recent federal government budget make you more hopeful or more pessimistic about the following? Your own personal financial situation, 47% say more pessimistic. The economic future of Canada, 56% say more pessimistic. Only 12% of people said they're more hopeful about the future of the country economically, and 9% said personally their personal futures that they're more hopeful of. And then you get some people saying no change, but no change is obviously just the default answer. It's even more default than saying not sure, because most people who are not sure will just say no change. But anyways, you go down to this other one. And it says, do you feel the changes planned by the federal government will make the following better or worse, or have no effect on the availability and affordability of housing where you live? And so renters are mostly against this budget. All the things that the government is planning to change, basically bribing cities to wipe out zoning rules and to invest more in affordable housing, which is just going to be a massive boondoggle where no real extra housing is going to be put up, but we all get to pay more in taxes and inflation is going to spike. Owners, non-mortgage, has mortgage, everyone is pretty much against this. There's only 13% of people who think it will be making it much better or better. Or how many people are even saying, I don't think anyone says not much better. Yeah, so there's no one even saying the budget will improve things by any significant margin. The only thing that you could get most people agreeing with, which is just a populist sentiment. It's asking people whether or not they like the changes to capital gains. And because most people are not going to make $250,000 in capital gains in a year, most people are saying, yes, I'm in favor of that. Even that doesn't poll that well. And again, all these changes were things that Justin Trudeau were thinking that the public was going to eat up, and they didn't. For the most part, yeah, you can get most people to agree to some flowery language about the budget. The fact that people are now in almost half of, with some of these policies, half of people are saying, no, don't spend more on that, is super telling about the mood of the country. I saw a poll, it might have been Anchor's read as well. It was a couple months ago, or might have been just last month. 65% of people said that they think the government spends too much and the budget needs to be cut. That is unheard of in Canada. In Canada, people are kind of hypersensitive about coming off like an American Republicans conservative. So a lot of people are in favor of government spending as like a knee-jerk reaction to being asked a question like that. To get the majority of Canadians to say we spend too much is, wow, that's insane. That means Justin Trudeau has been, that is an achievement for Trudeau to have spent so much. The average Canadian thinks that we spend way too much money. And only about, I think, 18% of people think we don't spend enough. And those are mostly NDP voters. The Liberals are currently dealing with a base of supporters who more than half of them think that the Liberals are making massive mistakes in government. And you can't go into a new federal election with most of your base thinking that you're full of it. You even see the polling where they ask people, would you like to see a federal Liberal government reelected or a majority reelected? And only about 17% of people support that notion. And when you look at the polling, the Liberals poll at 24 to 25%. So about a third, or a little bit more than a third, of the Liberal support is saying we don't actually want to see Justin Trudeau as the Prime Minister again. Yes, we'll vote Liberal locally because maybe we like our local guy or we generally like the Liberal brand. But although they're voting Liberal, they don't actually want the Liberals to win, which means that either they're lying about supporting the Liberals, or at the very least, they're probably not going to show up, or at least they're not going to show up for anyone who's not their local guy. So they're voting Liberal not for Justin Trudeau, but maybe just because they don't like the Conservatives for whatever reason, because probably they watch way too much mainstream media. So yeah, this budget has been an absolute flop. It was a shot in the arm that Justin Trudeau thought he needed, and it ended up just being poison for his party. It just leaned into all the worst things that people already assumed about the Liberals. They spend too much, they tax too much, and all their plans are just the same old stuff with more dollar signs attached to them. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. Shameless plug, Wyatt Claypool, I'm running for the Calgary Signal Hill Conservative Party nomination. So if you live on the west side of Calgary, basically the riding is straight west from the city center. This is where that riding is. So if you live over here, buy a Conservative Party membership, and check out my website in the description below, wyattclaypool.com. Mark me number 1 on your ballot whenever the nomination gets called. And then also, if you want to support our legal fund, the Give, Send, Go link is in the description below. That's just, go down there. If you click on that, donate money, it helps us recover some of the money we've lost having to pay for legal defenses. We are winning the lawsuit that we're currently in. We'll easily win it, but it's a billionaire developer just trying to suck as much money away from us as possible because this is a lawfare tactic. Draw out a lawsuit that you know you can't win, just to hope that you can either force the people to apologize to you or just to at least drain them of a bunch of money temporarily to affect their business. And that's exactly what this guy's doing. So that's what the Give, Send, Go link in the description is for. Donate to that, and you can really help us reduce the burden of cost for our legal fees. Anyways, that should be it for me today, guys. Have a good one.